When the corruption allegation was leveled against the suspended Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Betta Edo, she immediately, in an attempt to defend herself, leaked a memo from the ministry which, showed Nigerians that she got approval from the president for 3 billion naira for verification of a social register, and it took a lot of Nigerians by surprise because this was just verification. What if you now want to start collating the social register from scratch? Ordinary verification of social register, you are doing it for 3 billion naira. Nigerians also got to find out that the approval was given by Tinubu's chief of staff, Gbajabiamila, without the president's, direct consent. And, a lot of people started calling for Gbajabiamila's resignation as well, or even sack, because of his involvement in all of this. Don't forget that the Minister of Interior is also involved because a contract was also awarded to his company as well. You all, before we go into the details of today's news, before we take a look at what Peter Obi has to say about all of this, subscribe to this channel, leave your opinions in the comment section below. Don't forget to also turn on the post notification bell so that you can be the first person to get notified whenever we upload a new video. It can only happen in Nigeria. Peter Obi reacts to report of 3 billion naira approval for National Social Register verification. The Labour Party presidential candidate in the 2023 election, Peter Obi, has reacted to reports that the federal government approved a huge sum of 3 billion naira for the verification of a National Social Register. Obi, in a post via his X platform account on Wednesday, questioned the rationale behind such approval and lamented that such could only happen in Nigeria. There are reports that President Bola Tinubu approved the release of 3 billion naira for the verification of a National Social Register. These has triggered mixed reactions from Nigerians, both on and off social media. In his own reaction, Obi described the report as a sad surprise and lamented that the amount approved for National Register verification is more than the amount budgeted for some critical activities in the 2024 budget. He added that the political leaders in the country must learn to focus on the critical areas of national development and national security instead of seeking their personal comfort. The former Anambra State governor wrote, "It is very surprising to hear that the sum of 3 billion naira was approved for verification of National Register of the Poor. This can only happen in Nigeria. I have maintained that we must decisively deal with the issue of cost of governance in Nigeria now as a matter of urgency." Sadly, this very huge amount approved just for verification of National Register of the Poor is more than 3 times the amount of 908 million naira, 699,435 naira, which was budgeted for our National Library. This is happening at a time in our nation when we need all the manpower training to keep our workforce productive. Our National Library, a very critical infrastructure in our nation, seemingly abandoned, lacks books and educational materials. The same amount would have made a significant impact if prudently and transparently managed, more so with more than half of our population battling with absolute and multi-dimensional poverty. One wonders why such A huge sum was approved for just verification of National Register of the Poor, when the same amount could have been directed towards actual poverty alleviation. This approval raises a fundamental question: how come the data for poverty alleviation has not been verified on a regular basis? The inability of we the leaders to prioritize our expenditure and focus on the critical areas of national development and national security are the challenges weighing down on our nation today. Unless we begin to sacrifice our personal comfort for the good of society and begin to care more for the people, especially the less privileged ones, our nation will continue to grapple with all forms of societal ills caused by a high level of poverty. I know I said yesterday that I I commended the president for cutting costs on travels. I also feel that it's not just one size fits all. Cutting costs should not just be done in one aspect. For example, how do you approve that 3 billion naira should be used for verification of social register of the poor when we have name? Like, is it that I don't understand? If we take a look at the amount of money that the federal government has spent on, name, registration of name alone, I think it's more than 4 billion naira. Why don't they also collect data, of people who are poor and people who are not? How do they know people who are poor and people who are not poor? Like, by also identifying people who are working, who are in the workforce, and people who do not have a job, or by also identifying people who are working with the government, people who are working with the private sector, or people that are just artisans. I think that even through the registration of a name, they can be able to get, a social register of people who are poor just by that name, if they, actually collect the necessary data that they need to collect. Spending money unnecessarily is just not needed any longer in this country, because how do you justify spending 4 billion naira on just verification of social register? And how are we even sure that it is actually those who are poor that are on the register? At the end of the day, they would only pack their family members and people who they know on the register, and people who are actually poor are out there just suffering. They have no clue or any idea about if there is a social register or there's no social register. I just feel that it's high time our government start to think about ways to cut costs and not spend extravagantly, because this one is just reckless spending, because it's not my money. I can just spend the way I like. That's just the way I see it. You all, let me have your thoughts in the comment section. What do you think about government using the name to actually collate the data of citizens who are actually poor? What do you think about that idea? Because, reading this prior to me recording, I just thought about it, and it felt like that should have been the best way to go about it, instead of just spending another money like 3 billion naira just for verification of social register. If you had collated every data of every citizen in this country using the name, there will be no need to now spend extra money collating or doing verification of social register. You all, let me have your thoughts in the comment section. What do you think? Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already done that. I'll see you all in my next video. Bye for now.